Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Welcome to episode 155 of the Wilderness Podcast. I'm your host, Dilz, and join with me is Magpie and Heartless. How's it going, guys?
What's good, everybody? How's it going?
Hey, doing well.
So this episode, we're going to be covering the month of May. And Magpie, I know that this was a big month for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, this is the month I actually singled out. I wanted to talk about this month. It has the Chambers improvements and the Vanguard's improvements, which obviously I am a sucker for. So
awesome. So we're going to get into all that stuff. And on that same note, just so if anything seems confusing, we recorded episode 156 before 155. So if things seem a bit wonky between the two episodes, that's why. But it doesn't matter. What have you guys been up to, Magpie? Or what do you have to update us on, I should say?
Yeah, so in between our last episode and this one, not much in terms of real life stuff. Just again, more rest and relaxation for me. Doing a bunch of like IRL stuff. Still going to the gym, but mostly just, taking the chance to get a mental refresher after a tough semester. So in game, couple big updates. Obviously, the thing that's been like talk of the town is our bingo event. I know, Heartless, you're probably going to go over it a little bit as well. But the Wilderness Podcast CC, the Wild CC is having a bingo event, which I actually was like 90% sure I wasn't going to join, but Heartless and Wheeze talked me into it. So
right, yeah, so Heartless and Wheeze, you guys put this whole event together, and I know we've mentioned it on another episode, but
yeah, a couple other people helped with ideas, but yeah, we did a large majority of work on it, and it was pretty fun. My favorite part, I used to host League of Legends tournaments all the time too. My favorite part, well, the event is fun itself. Getting it together is really, really enjoyable for me. Mm-hmm. Doing all the behind the scenes math to make sure things are balanced. We try to I guess we could talk a little bit how we figured out our board. So for those of you who don't know what the bingo is, it's basically is it 4x4 or is it 5x5? I think it's 4x4. It's 5x5. Okay, so there are 25 tiles, and you get a point for completing each tile, and then you get a bonus 2 points for every 5 in a row. So rows, diagonals, or columns. Last time our bingo board, we did it in September, and it was really easy. Every team finished the board except for my team, who got unlucky on one tile, which was get a Chambers of Xeric purple. Yeah, and we were well off the drop rate, so we also should have finished. So we learned a lot of things from that one. And this time we decided to make the tiles significantly more hard, more challenging, because most of the people that join are like medium to late game PVMers, so they can handle quite a good challenge. So what we did is we tried to figure out how many reasonably efficient hours it would take for each tile to be completed. Like, let's say it's get a wilderness ring. That's a really tough tile. So we estimated it might take one person 9 hours. So then we added up all the rows and did averages and tried to figure out to make sure the rows were nice and balanced. So it was pretty fun getting it together, and me and Weez had a good time. Yeah,
it was definitely a team effort. I know a bunch of people helped out on it. Probably worth clarifying, bingo is a RuneScape event that clans and communities do. Each tile is obviously an in-game task or achievement that you have to do. So the Wilderness Ring is a good example. Yeah, I wasn't really going to go for it too much, and then a couple of people talked me into it. I liked watching from the sidelines last time, but I was like, well, I have a little bit of time, and if I don't do this one, then I'll probably never get a chance to do one, just because I'm probably never going to be as free as I am during this winter break for the foreseeable future. So with that in mind, I had to grind a bunch of different activities for my team. So I had to do the gauntlet, I did the gauntlet, and a couple of days ago I got the towel for it, which is get a gauntlet unique, and it was actually the Hunliff pet. So that's another one of my...
That's sick.
Yeah, it's another one of my pet grinds over with really early on as well. So, which I'm glad, because gauntlet is really annoying, and probably just worth giving a really quick breakdown of the gauntlet. Gauntlet is like dungeoneering, but for OSRS. You basically go in, you have like 5 or 10 minutes to... It's like 10 minutes, I think, on the normal mode to like get some armor, get some food, and then face like the final boss, which is the Hunliff. And then you have to basically do it over and over again. It's like a small instance. You repeat, rinse and repeat.
That's sweet. Do you enjoy doing the gauntlet? Do you like that piece of content?
I start to burn out of it really quickly, I will say. It's really repetitive, and it's really annoying because it's very, very like RNG heavy, because you have to like get a certain number of rooms. Like it's basically a 5x5 grid of hidden rooms that you start off right in the center of, and you have to like uncover the rooms that you want to go through. And if you're unlucky, you're not going to find like a fishing spot to get the food that you need to fight the boss, and you're just going to be like shit out of luck. So it's very like gated by luck for the most part, but obviously they've balanced it recently. And they've made it so that it's not as RNG heavy, to where you're never going to, like, if you know what you're doing, you're never going to have to, like, put your hands up and be like, oh, well, I just couldn't do anything. Like, I ran out of time. You should be able to consistently clear it.
It does take a lot of time, like 8 to 10 minutes per kill.
Yeah.
So think about the pets, I think 1 in 800. So even if you're doing them.
Yeah, for the corrupted gauntlet. Once you, like, complete the gauntlet for one time, you unlock the corrupted gauntlet, which is a harder version of it, but the drop rates are way better on the corrupted version. And you just have like less time to prepare. Everything hits you harder. Boss has more HP.
I find it pretty tough. Like, it's punishing when you're doing the boss. If you make a little mistake, you're probably like good chance you're gonna die. But I know, like, when I was learning to do it, I was really dedicated, and this is going back like months. I was super dedicated to learn it, and I just wanted to get good at it. But I would spend like, God, I must have sat there for like 6 to 7 hours, like a full day trying to beat it, and I maybe got 2 or 3 clears. I definitely was below average when it came to like getting a hang of it, but it was fun to learn, and it was like super rewarding when you actually got a kill for the first time, at least.
Significantly easier now than probably when you did it as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Because there is the boss every 4 attacks will change styles, so he swaps from range to mage.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an animation, like a very obvious animation for which one he's switching to now. But there never used to be. You used to have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, which sounds pretty easy because it's like, oh, that's just like a Hydra. But it's also, throwing tornadoes at you like you would get in, what's it called, Theater of Blood. So if they catch you, they deal a significant chunk of damage. And there's also the floor is lit up, so you can't like stand in specific places. So there's a lot of elements going on. It's very easy to lose track of the count, and then you can just get smacked to 40.
There was there's a site that someone made. Let me see if I can just find it, just so that people don't.
Yeah, it's like a gauntlet helper where you have some British dude saying 3, 2, 1, range. Yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Gauntletcounter.herokuapp.com. Just be careful because there's so many scam sites. Yeah, so I use that. I still use that, and it's so helpful because when it comes to mechanics, I hate the counting mechanic, and I don't know why. It's
very common. Well, anything where a boss switches attacks on specific intervals is always like that. Like Gorillas and Hydra come to mind for me, and Hunliff as well, the 3 of them.
Like Hydra, I have to be in a certain mood because I find having to count really tedious, and eventually you can kind of get like the rhythm of it, but like it won't be perfect. Like I'll get into the rhythm, but I'll still take the odd hit because And
Hydra's not as punishing because it's a 5-tick cycle, so it's really, I call it slow Zulrah. It's a very slow boss.
Yeah.
And it really isn't going to hit you that much. Even if you miss a flick on the last phase, like you might take a 50, but it's not always the most accurate. So it's not too punishing of a boss, but Hunliff is just you're dead if you mess up. Basically,
yeah, it's a tough.
I was
one.
I tried some normal gauntlet this morning. I haven't really gone into it. It doesn't feel for an Iron Man. I know people say it's quite good, and the Blade of Silver is obviously an exceptional weapon, but the amount of hours it takes, even if you're on rate to get a blade, seems not worth it for me. When I would rather just spend that time at Theater of Blood going for a rapier, which is essentially the same thing.
Yeah, and the Gauntlet's solo content, so like,
yeah,
any solo boss, it's kind of easier to burn out. I find.
I feel like it's good if you're on a rebuild or something like that, and you need to make some quick money. Or if you're an Iron Man and you want to rush the Gauntlet, then I think that's also good, like because it gives you a lot of straight alchables. But if you're already reasonably late game Iron Man like me, that's done a lot of the grinds, you probably have enough money for that you'll need.
Yep.
Yeah, like the beauty thing about the Gauntlet, you go in there naked, right? All you need is the stats, and then you have to gather everything else in there, like your armor, your weapons. You get it all inside the Gauntlet itself. So yeah, it's perfect if someone gets cleaned out at the Sand Casino.
Yep. Yeah, and that's pretty common.
Yeah, unfortunately,
it's pretty common that people do that, and it's cool. Like I like that it's in the game. But I don't think people grind it like that much, you know? Like it's a good moneymaker, but it's not the best. And yeah, like Magpie said, it can be very punishing and tedious at times. Just anytime there's a KC that's that long, it doesn't feel great.
I won't go too in depth into I'll save a couple of other things for future episodes, but the other notable thing is I started doing duo Theater of Blood runs with a couple people in the CC, like trying to teach them duos.
Cool.
And yeah, it's just 2-man Theater of Blood. It's really hard, and that's what's fun. It's like it's substantially harder than a trio, and you have to learn a bunch of like advanced mechanics before you can do it. But it's pretty fun. I was running them with 40 IQ from the CC, and some guy. His name is some guy. It's not just some guy, but
some random dude.
Yeah. So, been trying to teach them. It's nice because Theater of Blood's drop rate is set, so it doesn't scale to the number of players. So even in a 2-man, you're getting the same chance at a drop as a 4-man, which is not like Chambers where it scales to the number of people in the raid. And so it's really good money per hour, but it also, if you're comfortable with the content to the point where like a 4-man or a 3-man Theater of Blood run is like casual for you, which I mean is hard enough because it's end game content, right? But if you get to that point, duo Theater of Blood kind of brings back the spice to it a little bit. So
interesting.
We got a duo Sanguinesti a few days ago, which was really nice.
Hey.
Would love me one of those one day.
Yeah, that is a really good Iron Man item for sure. That's probably the best item you can get as an Iron Man from Theater of Blood.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm glad I saw you guys when you got that. You've been running quite a few of those.
Yeah,
it's intense.
Yeah, it's pretty intense, and like it looks daunting, but once you like learn it, you can consistently clear it. With the exception of one room, like people think Nilocus is the hardest room, and I'm like, not really. It's like once you learn Nilocus as well in a duo, it's pretty consistent unless you get really bad RNG. I think the tougher one is actually just going to be Zarpus. That's the big RNG gate, because if you miss specs, it's just really painful. So wrapping things up, I've got a bunch of other grinds done, but those are the two big ones. I don't know, like, do we have time for one more humorous story, I guess, or should I leave it for next week?
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, I want to hear it now. You can't tease. Although, that would bring in the viewers 2 episodes from now.
Yeah, I guess. You'll never believe what this guy just did. Yeah, okay, so I've been spending the past, few months or so, trying to get a Inferno task and just, Terrail skipping for an Inferno task, because I've been slowly going towards the Nibbler pet, which is my next pet grind, the Inferno pet. And nice. I found this out last week, but I have been doing all my Slayer tasks recently, including the Inferno task that I've been getting, including the KC that I've been getting, with an unimbued Slayer Helm.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Slayer Helm, you get it. It gives you a 15% damage and accuracy boost to melee, but you have to imbue it for range and mage. I've been doing range-based and mage-based Slayer almost exclusively with a Slayer Helm that has given me 0 DPS boosts, 0 accuracy, 0 damage bonuses. So I found that out and I just facepalm. I literally just like sat there for a couple of minutes just staring at my screen like, could I have been this stupid? And the answer is yes. Yes, I could be that stupid. So
that's funny. That sucks. I think we've all been there. I was trying to, as you're saying, I'm trying to think. I know I've done that. I'm trying to think. It's funny how you can just like overlook some small little detail.
Yeah.
Are you someone that has like multiple Slayer helmets and that like all the recolors and stuff?
Yeah. So I want to go for all the colors. I have like 5 so far, and I've been saving Slayer points for my 6th. I already have the KBD heads. I just need the points to unlock the ability to make the Black Slayer helmet, which you need the KBD heads for. But the reason why I like did all my tasks with an unimbued Slayer helmet is because I bought the Twisted Horns over the summer, and I attached them to the Slayer helmet. But I didn't realize that maybe I just like assumed that I'd already imbued it or something, or maybe I just like forgot about having to imbue it. But I just never imbued the Twisted Slayer helmet, so I just been doing tasks without the Slayer helmet boost. And what sucks is like I've spent 5 hours at a time like just skipping for a Zuck task just so I could get that DPS boost.
That's funny. Well, now is that the only helmet you have that's not actually imbued?
Well, yeah. At the moment I realized that I just like parked my ass in Nightmare Zone and just like imbued it for a bit. Like I spent an hour just getting as many points as possible. Did you guys know that if you spend too long in Nightmare Zone, it stops giving you points?
What?
Once you get like over 1 million points, it just tells you you're not eligible to gain any more points from that run or something.
What?
That's what it did for me. I don't know if it was
over
like
1 million
time-based or like point-based, but I'll have to look into it.
That's so dumb. I can't stand Nightmare Zone. It's great when you want to like not play the game, but if you like want to imbue your shit and you still want to play the game,
Yeah.
I have a few items that I need to imbue on my main too that I just haven't because I'm like I don't like it either. You know, I'm already maxed.
Yeah, Nightmare Zone is not very fun, but it's fine for main, like if you just want to grind your stats up and stuff, but
yeah, it's good for what it is, but it sucks when you need to go there for like non-experience reasons. Like
I'm a little disappointed like that's the way we have to imbue things. I think there should be an alternate way to do it.
Yeah.
I know Jagex has tried a few times to move the imbues somewhere else. Warding was one of them, but not yet.
Again, this is like a remnant from like 2013 through to 2015 and them trying to stuff as much content, as much game-breaking rewards as they could into the game to get people back. Like, you see it with Zulrah as well, where it's like Zulrah was the best money per hour at that point, but it also dropped like the best weapon in the game, hands down, which is the blowpipe. And it's like Nightmare Zone is the best melee training method in the game, but it also is this crucial like activity that you need to do to imbue your Slayer helmets, to imbue your rings, to imbue everything, like pretty much. So do
you think the blowpipe still is the best weapon in the game?
Oh yeah, 100%. In terms of like, if you pay 3 mil, and let's say you stuff in an extra 3 mil for supply costs, for a weapon that good, a blowpipe is easily the best weapon in the game. Like,
I agree with you. I think it's wild. Like, yes, T-Bow outclasses it in certain places, but my god, the blowpipe is disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think the T-Bow is like generally overrated for most activities. Like, don't get me wrong.
Well, I mean, it does cost 1.12 bill, whatever, so you'd expect it to be damn good. But
yeah, it is.
Blowpipe for a 3 mil item, it's just disturbing.
It's not so much that the T-Bow isn't worth 1 bill; it's that the blowpipe is worth like 500 mil, relatively.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
Yeah, that's pretty much it for me, though. How about you guys? How have your grinds been? I know we were on separate bingo teams, so how's that been going for you guys? Are you guys excited to finish second?
We are on the same bingo team. Me and Dilz are on the same team, but I went over my updates because the way these episodes are coming out, we're recording this after Christmas, but Dilz and I recorded the summer update, like I think June and July. We recorded that maybe 2 weeks, 10 days ago, maybe 2 weeks or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did all of my account updates for the fall on that one. So I'll let you guys wait because there was some crazy RNG for me. So what else happened? I guess bingo's been pretty fun. My team is going pretty hard. We're getting lucky in some places, unlucky in others, just like usual. But we're having a good time. It's nice to be able to. The best part about bingo for me is grinding different content than you usually do. Like if this was a normal week, I'd just be like just raiding and doing maybe Abyssal Sire. But because it's not, I'm doing things like Wildy Slayer and doing team raids. And what else have I been doing? I've been doing clue scrolls, stuff like that. Just like really varying the content, and I've been enjoying it.
Yeah.
Also feels sweet to get stoked about an item like red elegant trousers, you know? Something that you normally wouldn't be excited about. It's pretty
cool. 100%. We are currently grinding, like as a team, we're grinding the Dagonoth Kings. For the last ring, I had a really successful trip, so like when we get that Archer's ring, I might freak out like even harder than if we got like a massive drop from raids or something.
Yeah, I remember the last bingo, my team, me, Juan, and some guy were on a team, and we struggled for the Sears ring. Like, took over 8 hours, 400 plus kills. Same with KBD heads. Some guy ended up getting 2 dragon picks from KBD before he got the heads.
Ouch.
400 or 500 kills later. Yeah, but that's the way bingo goes. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, it's a cool event you guys put on. Like, I wasn't planning on doing the bingo. And then I was talking to someone that just like, fuck it, sign up. And I was like, all right. You know, I mean, worst case scenario is I'm just a huge weighing the team down from not playing at all. Especially because I've been playing on my Iron Man a little bit more. But the bingo event's been fun because I've been bouncing between my Iron Man and my main. But yeah, I'll just do one. I'll kill Zulrah until I'm bored of Zulrah, and then I'll go do some Gauntlet until I'm bored of Gauntlet, and then I'll go do like Zulcano. You know what I mean? Like I'll bounce around between all these different tasks. Where normally, like I don't care about going to Zulcano, but it kind of gives you a reason to go do some stuff there, right?
Yeah. I was in the same boat. Like, I was really conflicted about signing up.
Seems like you're having fun, though. So, and it's gotten you your Gauntlet pet, so definitely worth it.
True.
Well, that's
the cool thing. You come out with some really sweet drops, so it's worth doing.
Somebody always gets a pet in like a bingo event, which is pretty nice. The thing for me was like, it was just...
Or 4 Chaos Ellie pets like last time.
There was like a no-win situation for me where it's like, if I sign up for a team and like I'm not able to commit that much time, I'm letting the team down because everybody's going to say like, oh, how did you guys not come first? Because you had Magpies on the team or whatever. And I'm not like, I don't consider myself the best player or anything, but I know like my account progression is pretty far along. I have all the end game gear. So I mean,
if you're grinding Inferno for the pet, yeah, you're pretty up there.
Well, yeah, but it's like if we don't win now, people are going to like almost look down on my team where it's like, oh, how do you guys not win? When the reality is like they're doing more progress than I am, to be honest. And if we do win, then it's going to also be like a no-win situation because they're going to say, oh, you won because you had Magpies, where it's like my team is actually really, really strong. And it's funny because they're all Iron Men, so we're all basically doing like solo content because we can't really team up for anything. Mm-hmm. But yeah, generally, I was just like reserved about that because I didn't want to like put anyone in that situation. But I think Heartless, you guys did a really good job balancing the teams out. You did stick me with a bunch of Iron Men. I don't know if that was a jab at how I like make fun of you guys all the time, but
I stuck you with 2 on purpose, but I didn't know Huge Baby was an Iron Man, so when I was balancing the teams, or else I wouldn't have put him with you. I tried to put an Iron Man on each team, 2 Twisted Bows, and 1 Infernal Cape on each team to make them fair, and then I balanced based on like number of hours played and stuff. But it's not perfect. I do it assuming that everyone is going to show up at the rate that they said, and no more and no less. Yeah. And I adjusted based on people that I know, because I know probably at least half the people that signed up, if not more. So, we do our best. And at the end of the day, it's not like the prize pot is like, it's 50 mil for the winning team, but you're going to make way more than that in bingo. You're just going to have a good time. So it's more about like having fun and grinding different content with even like new friends sometimes.
Yeah. It's not about the drops that you get. It's the friends you make along the way. I'm going to make this joke like every episode. I'm like 90% sure I cracked that same joke last week.
You do crack it, but I always get sappy and say something that makes you trigger it. So
it's so true.
But it is true. Like some of these guys I only really get to talk to during bingo, and that's part of the reason I really like it. So
yeah, it's fun. And anyone who's listening that's like, oh, that sounds fun to do, keep an eye out for the next one. Because this is the second one you guys have put on, and so far it's
every
huge
like
success.
You don't want to do them all the time because people got to get their own grinds in, but every like 3-4 months is probably when we'll end up dropping them, like maybe 3 times a year. So we'll probably do one in the spring, then at the end of the summer, and then Christmas again. Those seem to be really good times. So
it's our version of leagues,
basically.
sweet stuff. Well, before we hop into the news, I was gonna say a funny story, but it's like not. It's been keeping me up at night. I think I mentioned to you guys earlier, but it's not RuneScape related. But I got my ears pierced like 2 months ago, and so I got to sleep in with these like filler earrings. Did
you get them done at Claire's?
No, they weren't open.
Oh.
Yeah, unfortunately. No, they can't even use the guns anymore. You got to go. They're banned at least in Ontario. You got to get a whole needle. You got to go to a professional, not some high schooler.
Do they have Claire's in America? It's basically like your cheap mall jewelry store that like tweens and teens go to. You can always get your ears pierced there for like $20.
Anytime there was like a girl's birthday party in middle school, you just go to Claire and buy something.
Exactly. You can't lose. So
see, I've never even heard of Claire's, but I thought it was like an American store. Anyways, doesn't matter. So I've had these earrings in, and I woke up. I woke up in the morning, and one of them had fallen out, and I was like, "Oh, okay, no problem." And I found one part of it, but I couldn't find the back end, which is like this. It's almost like a blunt nail. But I had this like weird, like a bump in my earlobe, and it felt just like the back of the earring. I started freaking out, but I looked it up on Google, and apparently this can happen. Apparently the back of your earring can get like sucked into your earlobe.
What?
And isn't that crazy? Like, it didn't really make sense to me, but apparently that can happen.
I don't like this, Dilz. Did your grandma pierce your ears?
No, she probably would have been better. You know, she's got. I will just say I had Yellow Pages dropped off. My phone book for 2021 dropped off, so it's still going strong.
Oh my god!
So they're still kicking. It brings a smile to my face when I see a Yellow Pages book now. Where was I? Oh yeah. So anyways, I was trying to like to wiggle it back out of the hole. So I was like trying to like massage it out because that's what people said you could do.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get it. So I went to the doctor's. He felt it and he was like, "Oh yeah, that bad boy's in there. You got to go to the hospital." So I went to the hospital. The doctor like felt it. He's like, "Oh yeah, that's real in there." So then he numbs my ear, grabs like a knife, starts cutting into the back of my ear to pull it out. And then he's going for like 10, 15 minutes. A lot of blood.
Oh my god.
I was like sitting there, and then he'd like stop and he'd like, "Sorry, I gotta do some blood control." And I'd look over and there's a pile of just like bloody napkins. And I was like, "Oh my god, like what the fuck is happening?" And then he's like, he's like, "I can't find it. Like I'm digging around inside and I can't find it anymore. And the bulb, like the bulge is gone. So we're gonna go get x-rays to see what happened."
You said this was a funny story?
Yeah, it gets funny. You wait for the punchline. It gets real good.
Okay,
so I get an x-ray and it's not there.
Why wouldn't they x-ray first to know where it was?
See, that's what I was thinking. I think the problem is I walked in there with such confidence, being like, "This is what happened." And then they felt it like, "Oh yeah, I can feel that." And then really it was Google that kind of told me it was more common, which convinced me of it. So then
Google.
He was like, "Yeah," he's like, "It's not in there. I don't know." He's like, "I think that was just scar tissue." So I went home after he like stitched up my ear. I went home and I found the back of the earring underneath my mattress. So like it was never in my ear in the first place.
Oh, Dilz.
That's the funny part.
Wow.
So now my ear's all messed up. So that's all that's significant that happened to me this week since last episode's recording.
You live an exciting life, I have to say.
Yeah, I was not gonna say that's a funny story too much, more like a Shakespearean tragedy if you want to go down the comedy route, but
yeah, it was adventurous.
Sure.
Okay. Should we go on to the news? What do you guys think?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it up.
Sweet. One adventure to another. All right, so we're going back and taking a look at May 2020. We're doing a recap as we catch back up to all the news that we missed since the podcast took a bit of a hiatus. So starting on May 1st, it's everyone's favorite event. Deadman Mode Tournament is live. That's the title of this dev blog.
Yay! Can we get like a fake like sarcastic applause button?
Yeah, they did another Deadman Mode tournament. Honestly, it's okay. It's strange because I was like not really up to date with what was going on RuneScape or Jagex. I had no idea what was going on, and this to me this is the second Deadman Mode tournament that's coming out after they said that they're getting rid of Deadman Mode tournaments. Because I swear we talked about one that happened in like April or March. Maybe I'm just wrong. Maybe this is all leading up to this. But if you don't know what Deadman Mode is, it's this game mode they came out with that was like, man, when they first pitched the idea, it was revolutionary. People were losing their mind. Everyone thought it was the coolest thing. And it was like super cool at first and it got really old really quickly. But the game mode was like, it was PvP anywhere. And when you got killed, like anyone could kill anyone. Like there was no level restrictions. Anyone could kill anyone. And when you died, the person who killed you got a key to your bank and they could take any items out of your bank that they wanted. They've made tweaks every tournament because there was always some problems and it was very punishing and clans overtook the game mode. But really it seemed like Jagex was jumping on the hype train of those survival sandbox games like Rust or Ark.
Like Battle Royales as well too. Yeah.
Yeah. And well, yeah, especially with Last Man Standing that came out eventually. But yeah, so that's what Deadman Mode was. They have static worlds that are just like you can play that. There's elevated experience rates too, so you can level up a bit quicker, which is pretty cool. But for the tournaments, you start a new account, you get PK ready, and then at some date they have the finals where everyone kills each other off till there's one person standing, and they win money. All right, so that's what Deadman Mode was. They brought it back, they made some changes, and the event happened. Honestly, I didn't hear anything about this event. Did you guys notice any uproars with the community about it?
So this one, I'm pretty sure, like, they said they were taking a break from Deadman after the fiascos of, like, the 2019 ones, if I remember correctly, but this one came out basically because everybody was home alone. Well, not alone probably, but just everybody's home due to the quarantine and COVID and everything. So I think that's what caused it to come back up. I do remember that around the time Deadman came out, our OSRS hit a new player peak, which they obviously have been like breaking that record consistently through quarantine. And some people were speculating maybe it was because of Deadman, but I highly doubt that Deadman had anything to do with it. Like even a 1% increase. I think it was much more the fact that everybody was stuck at home.
I agree with Magpies. Was this the very last Deadman tournament?
Yeah, this probably would be.
So this was the one where they allowed muling, so you could like sit and alt at the GE. So basically the whole thing of people stealing your bank was non-existent because you have your bank on a safe account. I'm pretty sure this was also the one where a team camped Corp and got an Ellie, and that guy made it to the semifinal. You remember this, Magpies?
No, I do not. I did not get a chance to watch this. Again, I was like in quarantine with family, so I didn't get the chance to catch up with Deadman.
Not gonna lie though, like the whole Deadman mode kind of sucks because it's just clans just destroy. If you're in a clan, I'm sure it's like really fun. But yeah, it's for the average Joe, it's like fun to watch the final and kind of see what clans do on YouTube. But that's about it, I would say. It gets pretty old pretty quickly.
The event's great on paper. It just like becomes very samesies after a while. And they did try to switch things up. They just, I guess they couldn't switch things. And there's also a lot of problems. If you, if you go back and listen to some of the archived episodes of this podcast, you'll hear when we kind of go in depth about what issues every Deadman Mode tournament had. But every final, there was always some sort of controversy. But it was unfortunate because if you go and watch, not this final, but the final before that, before they announced they were going to close it, they really had a cool like like setup, like I don't know if you want to call it like an infrastructure they had set up was so cool. Like they had this like table that was an interactive map of the tournament that show you where the heat maps of where clans were and where people were gathering and fighting.
Yeah, it's like a sports broadcast. You'd be like, okay, Jim, these are the areas of activity. Watch here for the southeast part of Varrock. You've got a lot of activity going on there. It's probably Rod going on some strategy. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but it was cool to see them kind of evolve from the very first tournament, which was very bare bones. They stopped doing it because of a lot of players weren't really enjoying it, and there's a lot of issues that they always had to wean out. But it did a good job at bringing more eyes to RuneScape on Twitch and stuff. But there's Deadman Mode in a nutshell. It happened this month, but it was kind of like a smaller ordeal than it normally is. Okay, Jagex donates some money to charity. This isn't really anything new, especially during the pandemic. A lot of companies seem to be doing more charitable donations or charitable events, and Jagex is not really a stranger to that, so they donated some money to CPSL, Mind, Rise Above the Disorder, and the Prince's Trust. I think they do the same charities every time, so that's cool of them. Okay, moving along. May 12, they had in-game JMod events. So again, pandemic's going strong. Everyone's at home and locked down. I guess Jagex is trying to make things a little bit more fun for, honestly, probably themselves and their player base.
Is this when Kieran did the Corp Mass? Mod Kieran?
It seems so. So on May 12, they had Gillenor's longest conga line. So they said, we're going for a record, folks. Follow the JMods, or, whoever's in front of you, on a whirlwind tour of Gillinor. Keep your eyes open on the day for an in-game message revealing the mystery start location, and then race to be the first in line. Come on, let's do the conga.
That reminds me of one time when I was at the GE with my friend, and we both had Dilz bulwarks because we were training prayer on our Ironman, and we were just waiting at the GE for some reason on our mains. Mm-hmm. And I started just walking around the GE. We both had Dilz, and then a few more people with Dilz came and joined us, and then eventually we had a line of like 15 people with Dilz bulwarks walking around the GE, and then other people joined to make the perfect circle so we could just go forever. It was very fun.
That's so funny. That's one thing that I love about RuneScape is you can go to the GE and like you'll randomly just be like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, there's a few people that came there to sell stuff, and they're like, oh my god.
Yeah. Like
I remember so many Dilz bulwarks in one place in my life.
I remember I came in and there was like two small groups of people with the flag banners from the from the Korend houses.
Yeah, you get them from like Clue Scrolls, I think.
Yeah, and they're pretty cheap on the G, like 20, 30K, but you can, or maybe even cheaper. So you can hold these like banner flags for the Korend houses, and there was like two groups that were like just recruiting people to wield that flag, and they were even giving it out to see which group could get more people carrying the same flag, and it was like for no reason at all, but it was fun. I joined a part of it. I was like trying to get people to join one flag or the other. Anyways, yeah, it's hilarious the shit you'll see in RuneScape, especially at the GE. And it's something that like, are you guys like big MMO players? Like, do you play other MMO games, or have you?
We talked about this last week. If you consider Destiny an MMO, that's the closest thing to an MMO I've played recently, other than OSRS. I'm not big into other MMOs, to be honest.
What about you, Heartless?
No, yeah, not for me. Like I told you, I played a bit of Classic WoW, but
yeah, okay.
Pretty much just RuneScape. The problem with MMOs is really you can only have one.
Pretty much,
the nature of them, they're so time consuming.
I've always been like a huge MMO junkie. Even though some of the some of the gameplay loops are kind of maddening, like World of Warcraft, so many fetch quests. Anyways, but I played so many different MMOs, and RuneScape's like one of the only ones where like these weird social events. I don't even know what you want to call them, but they're like these spontaneous social, just dicking around at the GE. Like you don't really see that often in other MMOs.
There was actually one of those that happened in the CC earlier this week, actually.
What do you mean?
So, on Christmas Eve, or Christmas Day, There's another guy in in the Wild CC, another Wild Boy, Cosmonaut. His big thing was he wanted to give a bunch of money to like a free-to-play account that he could find in the CC. So he spent like all day checking random like accounts to see.
Yeah.
Also, if you're listening to this, and you know who you are, this is like our perspective of it. But 15 minutes to midnight, after he was like really dejected that he couldn't find anybody, I think the closest person he found was this like account that had never been in the CC before. Like, it looked really low level, and he was like, "Hey dude, how's it going? Do you want a free bond?" And the dude messages him like, "Oh, I'm just this other Wild Boy's like alt account. This is my new Iron Man." He's like, "Oh god damn it!" Like,
okay,
so
let me back up. Let me make sure I'm following properly. So, Cosmonaut, someone who hangs out in the clan chat, was looking for someone else in the clan chat who was a free-to-play member to kind of give them some stuff.
Yeah, or just like a low-level member who just like could use a little bit of Christmas cheer. But
Okay, like a new player though, right?
Yeah, like a low-level
Cost
account.
loves really is a nice dude. He really likes to help people out. So he just wanted to do a nice Christmas deed.
Okay, so now it's almost midnight. He's about to give up because he can't find it.
Yeah, and then in true Christmas miracle fashion, somebody joins the CC, and literally, like, without being prompted by anybody who knew what Cos was up to or anything, he was just like, "Hey guys, I'm new to the CC. Like, I just started playing again. I'm a listener of the podcast, blah blah blah." And Cos freaked out, and we turned this into like he tried to find him in free to play without actually asking him where he was, and like from what he was typing, it sounded like he was training combat. So he started searching like all the free to play combat areas and stuff, and we were just in voice with him. Basically, like, "Have you tried like this place? Like, have you tried Stronghold of Security? Have you tried Hill Giants?" Stuff like that. And then we tried to make a game out of it, and this is where the spontaneity thing happens. I hopped into free to play. I made like a friendly bet with him, like, "I bet I can find him before you do." And then Heartless hopped in, and he was like, "Okay, let's give this a shot." So we're just all like running around free to play on this dude's world, and the rule was you couldn't ask him where he was or like what he was specifically doing. So we were just like trying to like nudge him along, like, "Hey, like what are you training, dude? Like, how are you finding the game so far? Anything that you've been training recently?" And we actually found him training fire making at Remington, like at the willow trees there.
Cutting the logs himself, old fashioned.
Oh, nice.
I didn't even get that hype, I don't think, when I got like a pet drop or anything. But finding this guy, like seeing the purple name on the minimap, like I was jumping out of my chair like crazy. It was really,
That's
really
so
fun.
funny.
So yeah, that's like the social element of the game coming back, where it's like it's the community made games and events that you like you just like get the chance to really live up to, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Like that's something that I almost want to say it's like uniquely to RuneScape, maybe even OSRS, because I play a ton of MMOs, and like you see some stuff maybe sort of like that, but it's just like not really the same. No, not on the caliber, you know. It's like there's so much you can. There's people who's like I can't remember that. I think there's a character who's like pizza delivery. That's his in-game name, and you can message him for a pizza. No matter where you are, he'll come deliver you a freshly made pizza, quote unquote.
Yeah, I think the closest is probably like Animal Crossing, like some of the events that the community does there, where it's like really impromptu. But
yeah, I was trying to think like maybe Maple Story, but I can't even remember. Anyways, whatever. Going in deep with the MMO talk. Yeah, fun stuff. So moving on to what other JMod events were going on. So we had the Gillinor's Longest Conga Line. On May 15th, they had Cabbage Bombing. So it says the world of RuneScape has been coddled, protected from its cruciferous overlords, but no longer. Join your favorite JMods as they appease Brassica Prime in the traditional manner by dumping as many cabbages as they can onto the ground. I hate to be the guy who has to clean that up.
I guess this is like the Jagex tradition of Brassica Prime, which is like, if you're a new player, for some reason Jagex used to be like obsessed with cabbages, and there's like a cabbage-based deity in the game called Brassica Prime, which is like allegedly like the most powerful creature and the most powerful deity. But
Yeah, there's something. I don't know. Cabbage, I don't find it that bad, but like somebody hates cabbage. Must be what Andrew Gower, one of the
it was one of the
original
Gower
creators
for sure.
They just hate cabbage so much because if you have a stinker at a Theater of Blood, and you die too much, you just get a cabbage in your chest of supplies.
Yeah. The April Fool's event, they brought out the cabbage picking skill.
Also, the most absurd one is that on the mega rare drop table for Master Clues, there's a cabbage.
Oh my god, that sucks. So if you ever get a cabbage on that clue scroll, that means you could have got like a third age druid.
Yeah.
That's like 1.4 bill.
Yeah, there's like random supplies on there, and then there's like third age and gilded and stuff. So yeah, not a good look.
Yeah, Superset is the same.
Brassican Mage as well, right? That's a classic. They love their cabbage, or hate it, I guess.
So May 19th, they had the Corporeal Beast Boss Mass. So I think this is the one that you were talking about with Mod Kieran. And it says, rally behind the J-Mods and take down one of old school's toughest beasties together. Who knows, you might even get yourself an Elysian Spirit Shield. Or Elysian Sigil, sorry. And then second last event, May 26th, they did God Wars Dungeon Boss Mass. And it says, God Wars Dungeon. Who doesn't remember their first ever Godsword drop? Well, now you can relive all those beautiful memories in the company of the J-Mods. Show your unity against Kriera, Krill Tsetsaroth, Commander Ziliana, and General Grardor. And maybe you'll walk away with a fancy drop or two. As usual, you'll need an ecumenical key to enter the boss's rooms. Wait, what? So save them for the event or turn up early and start slaying followers. Don't forget, to enter the God Wars dungeon, you'll need to have 60 strength, 60 agility, doesn't matter. Yeah. And then finally, the last event they did was Pest Control Mass. It says those pesky spinners aren't going to know what hit them in this no-holds-barred beatdown featuring all your favorite J-Mods. Just don't forget the all-important rule, last one shuts the gate. Boom. Did you guys do any of these events?
I cannot join these events, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was abroad and the time didn't really work out. But
true.
Even then, not even a Jagex sponsored event would have gotten me to do pest control. I'm sorry, but there's no way in hell.
I've gotten 2 sets of Elite Void, and I'm never going back.
2 set? Oh, your
my original main, and now my Iron. No,
nice.
Thank you. 20 hours of pest control is more than one man should ever have to suffer.
You know what? Would feel the same, but I also didn't mind pest control because I think I did in small bursts. Do you want to know something? Want your mind blowing? When I was playing in 2006, I trained from like level 80 stats to like 99 through pest control.
I mean, yeah, saying that I'm never going to go back is actually not true, because when I'm doing fletching, 99 fletching, I will be in pest control to get prayer XP. But it won't be the same because you don't need the items. You're just there for like a bonus.
Okay, so I'm not used to the Iron Man meta. Why do you need to go get prayer XP for 99 fletching?
Because 99 fletching you can do literally anywhere once you have the broad bolts correct. So you may as well do it in pest control and get some XP out of standing there, so it makes it a little bit more efficient.
Interesting. When I used to play back in like the 2006, I don't know if it was the fastest. I don't think anyone knew what the fastest experience methods were, but people were like, this is probably it. And pest control is what a lot of people thought. And so I would join a pest control clan, and I think it was called Frozen Hearts. I can't remember, but yeah, I would join a pest control clan and then just grind out 100 points and then turn them in for however much experience it would give.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, like back in the day, I would just do stuff like Castle Wars just because it was social and fun.
Yeah.
And I get to see people that were way higher level than me play the game. And that was one of the cool things, is like running into people that had like real items, like dragon plate legs and stuff. Because I was just kitted out of my full rune or whatever. Yeah. And for a little kid, that's pretty cool.
I have many memories of being like ice barraged at Castle Wars and being like, so this is what a mob feels like. I'm basically just an NPC to these guys. They're like wrecking me. It's like a Slayer task for them.
To be fair, if you go back now, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about back then is that there were so many lower levels that like, yeah, there's a few, max accounts that'll really mess your day up, but there's so many lower level, like level 40s who are just playing Castle Wars for the fun of it. now when you go there, like,
I've never seen more harmonized nightmare orbs in one place than in a Castle Horse lobby.
Oh god.
In 2020.
I mean, luckily you have the Pures that are just there for the Oh, are they still there for their headband, or do they go to the halo?
You can get it at LMS, but the original gods are all at Castle Wars, so it's Zamorak.
Okay, so some people are still going to be doing it.
Shout out Siren's Arrows. Those are the real cool Fashionscape items.
Nice. Fun.
Have you gotten one of those from LMS yet? They're 250 points, right?
Yeah, no, I went over in the summer, but it's just too tough for minor Fashionscape. Yeah.
It is tough. I'm 125 games in with no wins yet.
Oh my goodness. It helps if you go to a free-to-play world, because then you're playing against people that are probably not very good at PKing.
I have fun when I do it, and I get to like the final 4 enough that it's fun, and the win is on the horizon. It's just not there yet.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, you need to get a combination of lucky plus like know how to PK at least a little bit.
Yeah, last man standing is great, but yeah. So yeah, those JMod events happened. So that's pretty cool. You know, that's old school RuneScape's got definitely one of the best dev teams. Like, there's so much more involved in the game and the community than like other games are.
From what I can tell, they all like play and love it, so that helps.
Mm-hmm. The only other game that I get similar vibes to is the Warframe developers. I don't really play too much Warframe, but they do weekly live streams. They kind of will do similar with as old school RuneScape. They'll do like a live stream where they'll show you like this is the sound design. This is how we came up with the sounds for this monster, and they'll do like a workshop almost. So it's
That sounds really interesting if you're like want to go into game design actually to just like see their thought process. But
yeah, it's actually when I was when the pandemic first hit, and I was like, I went to school for like radio for podcasting stuff, but I had a lot of free time, and there's not a whole lot of podcasting jobs out there. So I was like, you know what, maybe I should get better at multiple skills. And then I started learning sound design for video games and stuff, and I came across Warframe, and then I actually started playing Warframe because it looked fun. And it was fun for a bit.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to improvements to the Chambers of Xeric. Magpie, you know way more about what's going on than I do. Want to break it down?
Sure thing, yeah. So this is a 2-parter. This is a double update spread out over 2 weeks. The first one is Vanguard improvements.
This is what you were super excited for, right?
Yes. So I am notoriously a massive fan of this room. I love this room. I still teach in We Do raids, and like I always tell any new applicant, like, if you want to improve on this room, like, just hit me up. I love teaching this room. I love doing this room. So this was a very welcome change for me.
Okay.
So I won't read through the whole blog here, but basically the big issue with Vanguards is they were really, really tanky and had, like, for their tankiness, they had low HP. And so the room basically is a combat room in the Chambers of Xeric. I'll give a quick breakdown really quick. 3 squid-like creatures. Each one attacks with a different attack style. And so normally if you have 3 people, one person targets the ranger with melee, one person targets the mager with range, one person targets the meleeer with mage, and you use the combat triangle against them. But you have to keep them within the same HP threshold, or else the room resets. Like, you have to keep them all within 33% of each other. So, like, if you hit one and it goes beyond, like, 50% of another one's HP, the room resets and they heal back to full HP. So, it's good for, like, communication. When you're learning it, it's pretty easy to just like stick to your Vanguard and slowly whittle down its HP. But when you're comfortable with the room, it's also pretty fun because you just like try to race as fast as possible and damage them as quickly as possible while staying like coordinated with your teammates. But the problems that the room had were, if you were doing a solo, their HP was so low that because of the HP threshold, if you hit them with like a T-bow or a scythe, you could one-shot reset the room. So if you hit a ranger with a scythe, you could reset the room almost immediately. And so it was a pain in the ass to do in a solo because of the scaling meant they had lower HP. And the defense levels made them really hard to hit and really tanky. So what they did was they changed the room so that they had way less defense and way higher hit points. And what that means is you're less likely to reset the room just straight up because, yes, they have less defense, but there's also a bigger gap of HP, so you can't one-shot reset the room. And then
right.
The other change they did was they reduced the aggro range. So because there's 3 of them in the room, normally they move around in a triangle, and you have to stay to the corners of the wall while you're attacking your one. Before the update, it was very easy for one of them to get unstuck, quote unquote, and basically like target you even when you weren't in that corner. And there were some layouts where it was just like absolutely don't try learning vanguards in this layout because it's really easy for one of the vanguards to get unstuck and aggro everybody. But what they did was they reduced the aggro range as well, and they made it so that there's a little bit more leeway. Unless you're actively trying to aggro another one, you're probably not going to have that issue.
Okay.
And finally, the other thing they did was, normally it's a 33% reset threshold. What they did was, in any scale up to a 5-man, it's the threshold that you can hit them within without resetting the room is increased to 40%. So you even have more leeway to damage them without risking the room resetting. So you have basically more room for error when you're doing the room. So that was the Vanguard updates. They also did a bunch of different chambers improvements. They rebalanced the scavenger beasts drop tables, and those are the monsters you kill for secondary ingredients during the raid to make potions. They made it so that you can, they say here to include a more reasonable amount of Sicilies and Darken Juice. I assume that means more in Darken Juice and less Sicily. They changed one of the positions of the crystals in one of the crab room layouts to not be as much of a hydrant's on-rage efficiency as they say here. And then they also fixed an issue where if you kill Vespula or you kill the portal, as the portal's dying and as she's dying, she would still hit you with a melee attack. So they fixed that as well. So that was a really quick speed through of room 1. And then for room 2, for week 2, they fixed a bunch of other stuff in the official quote-unquote Chambers of Xeric improvements. So this was a really big one for challenge mode. What this update did was it brought out the Twisted Ornament kits for challenge mode.
Oh, so the Twisted Ornament kits didn't exist yet?
Yeah, they did not. Okay. They were not a thing. But basically, what these are they're basically almost like ornament kits from Clue Scrolls that you get for, when you get a twisted, like a torture ornament kit, you attach it to your Amulet of Torture and you make it cosmetically improved. This is a 1 in... I'm not sure the drop rates have been officially released, but I think it's around 1 in 80 or 1 in 100. If you hit the time on a challenge mode raid, you have a chance of rolling on the Twisted Ornament kit table. You might get one. And you attach them to your ancestral armor, and it turns it into more of like a whitish green color scheme to match the like Twisted Leagues and the General Zaya aesthetic, I guess. So players will have a chance to obtain it from an extra roll on the drop, akin to the Metamorphic Dust drop. Note, you do not need dust in order to get the kit. The kit is untradeable, and you need 1 kit for every piece that you want to recolor. So a couple episodes back, I remember talking, I think in February recap or whatever, that I was going for my 3 ornament kits, and I'm currently 2 out of 3, so I'm still missing the 1 for the hat.
Okay, so when you get an ornament kit, is it like specific to the hat, or is it just you just need 3 of the ornament kits, or are they specific to each piece of clothing?
No, it's like 3 general ones. That's a good question. It's like any other ornament kit where you get the kit, you can use it on the item, and you can switch it out if you want to sell the item or if you want to replace it. You just dismantle the kit. You get the Twisted Ornament kit and the original item back. So they're just 3 general ones, but basically the first one I put on my ancestral legs, the second one was on my top, and now I'm waiting for one to put on my hat.
That's awesome. So do you think it looks better with the Twisted Ornament kit?
I guess in some, like, I think it's better. There are some situations where I think the normal Ancestral looks better. Like, if you're doing Slayer, I think the normal Ancestral with the, like, blue Vorkath Slayer helm looks really cool, but for some reason they have been, like, really pushing the Twisted League, quote-unquote, aesthetic of, like, white and green with the twisted horns. This looks really good with the Twisted Slayer helm, so everything's nice and white and green, I guess, when it comes to Chambers of Zarek. So I have, like, a prediction where they're going to release, like, some poll or something and say, should the Kodai wand have, like, a Twisted Kit upgrade or something?
Oh,
as well.
yeah,
I can see it
that
for sure.
So with an item like that, do you think, what are your thoughts if they added so that once you made your Twisted Ancestral hat, let's just say, like, you have the option to transmog it back into its original design, and now you could do it whenever you wanted, switch between the two, because you got that ornament kit.
Well, you generally can do that already. You just right-click dismantle, but it's a bit of a hassle to do it. You can't, like, do it on the fly just because it's going to take up 2 spots in your inventory, stuff like that. But if it was a transmog option, that would be pretty cool as well. Not super, like, necessary, I don't think, because you could just dismantle. It's like when you are tired of, like, an ornament kit on your Fury or your Torture or your Torm bracelet, you can just dismantle it on the go and then sell back the kit. So,
cool stuff.
I will say with these updates, I have somewhat of an unpopular opinion, which is, so this update was really big because it brought a lot more people into challenge mode. A lot. Because it changed a lot of stuff. With this update, also, another thing that I don't think I mentioned yet, which is the thieving room was balanced again. So thieving was famously one of the most boring rooms in the raids. You basically just search chests for grubs. This update made it so that if you have a higher thieving level, you have a higher chance of, you can actually get multiple grubs. You have a chance of getting, like, 2 or 3 grubs from the same chest, which means the room is, like, 2 or 3 times as fast, potentially. So with that and the Vanguard's updates, the Twisted Kits being a new incentive basically meant the barrier of entry for challenge mode was way lower, and you had the new incentive of getting Twisted Ornament Kits. So a lot more people were doing challenge modes, which leads me to my somewhat unpopular opinion, which is that I think the challenge mode timers should be reduced. Boo! We need a sound effect for that as well.
So when you say reduce, you mean, like, essentially make challenge modes harder?
Yeah. Well, not necessarily harder. Here's the thing. I was doing my research for this. I came prepared. So when challenge modes came out, right, the best in slot for melee was a tentacle whip, I'm pretty sure. You used, like, an Elder Maul for Tecton, but you basically used an Abyssal Whip or an Abyssal Tentacle. That was your main hand melee weapon when they first got released. Since then, you had Theater of Blood come out, which means that your new best in slot for melee is a Scythe. Way faster DPS, obviously. Way, way, way better DPS. You got a Grazi Rapier for a new best in slot stab weapon for Vasa. You can use the Scythe for Tecton. You got the Sanguinesti Staff, which is a new best in slot mage weapon. Then you got the Hydra, which gave you new best in slot melee gloves, new best in slot solo weapon / like a new really good alternative to the Scythe with the Dragon Hunter Lance. Do you see where I'm going with this? They made all these, like, almost power creep adjustments to the game where challenge mode became way easier just because the gear that you had was exponentially better than what they balanced the times for. And now, with the new changes to thieving, making the room, like, changing it from a 5-minute room to, like, a 2-minute 30-second room, and Vanguard's being way more forgiving, you have Inquisitor, which I know is, like, really, really end game, so I wouldn't even factor that into the time change so much, but it is very, very easy to hit the time now. And I know I'm saying this as, like, someone who's experienced with the content. I know some people who are learning challenge mode will struggle, but I think the idea of challenge mode is to, like, actually pace yourself and be mindful of the time. And it's to the point where, like, if you mess up several times, like, I've had solos where I will just go to the bathroom midway through thieving and just, like, come back, die a couple times and be like, oh, well, might as well finish the raid. I'll still be guaranteed to get like within the time. It's very, very, very forgiving at that point. That's the controversial opinion. That's the bad news. But here's the good news. If you disagree, Jagex will almost never adjust that because everybody's going to complain that the people who got their dusts or their twisted kits on easier times got the chance to do it on easier times. So yay, I guess. Nobody's going to have to suffer from longer times. But I don't think it's balanced because you have to remember that this is like the second most end game content that we have in the game at the moment. Like, it's harder than Nightmare, and it's on par allegedly with Theater of Blood. So technically it's like tied for first.
So do you think, Magpies, that the challenge mode raids should be players of your caliber, roughly?
No, 100%. Like, I don't think it should discourage.
I know you say that you are not one of the like elite PVMers, but you're like possibly the best player I've ever played with. You're like in an elite crew.
I appreciate
I think you crush challenge modes, and that the barrier for entry is probably lower, because the argument you make is while I see your point, like, yes, all these insane upgrades have come out, you can start pushing that to other content as well, like, oh, PBs for I don't know, even just regular Chambers of Xeric. Like, should we now freeze the tables from like when Theater of Blood was released or something like that?
I appreciate
I think maybe the question should be as like, do you think like challenge mode, Chambers of Xeric, like whatever tier it's at, when you look at like the challenge level of it, should it like always remain at that challenge point? Does that make sense? Like, as more content comes down the road, should Theater of Blood and challenge mode raids and Inferno, should those three still all stay in whatever level of difficulty they're at?
And my argument would be no, that things evolve over time, and that once those things become easier, new challenges will come out. Like, I know we've like hyped it up a lot and stuff, but like combat achievements, we don't even know what they are yet, but we know they're going to be goddamn the hardest thing in the game. Like the master or whatever, the grandmaster level is going to be the hardest thing that's probably ever come out in the game. So finishing that. So I think while I agree with Magpies' argument that things do get easier over time, I think that's just natural progression of any video game.
I know I said to like Dilz. That was more of like a clarifying, I get what you mean. When you ask, like, should challenge mode have stayed the same level of challenge that it was on release? I would actually say, like, no, it should be slightly easier than that. Like, it's a good thing to get more people engaged with the content. But you have to remember that the reason why challenge mode came out was because people were like, we're bored of normal raids. We want an actual quote unquote challenge. And I'm not saying, again, first of all, Heartless, I appreciate the compliment. I don't think I'm super, super like elite when it comes to my ability, but I understand that like people like Jagex benefits from people trying new content. I think the difference with challenge mode versus like other PBs are, whereas PBs for like other content are like a community thing where it's like, in the interest of fairness or whatever, should we balance the PBs? This one is actually, the content is tied to the challenge of making time, where the dust is based on whether or not you hit time. The new Twisted Ornament kits are based on whether or not you make the time. So the fact that Jagex hasn't already balanced them means the value of those items has somewhat dropped, because like they're easier to get now, obviously. But I just think I wouldn't even say, like, I'm not saying let's make it 20 minutes. Like, I would say maybe 5 minutes, because I was talking about like thieving takes 2 minutes 30 seconds less now. Maybe the Grazi Rapier changes Fossa by like 30 seconds or so maximum tops. We're talking the Scythe and the Lance are the big ones to like basically cut the time spent on the melee hand in half. So that's like another 2-3 minutes there. So really just like a 5-10 minute, even like 10 minutes is probably egregious, but like even in a bad solo, once you're comfortable with the mechanics and you don't really need endgame gear, you should be able to hit within an hour of, you should be able to hit that 1 hour mark pretty comfortably. So I'm not saying we should be really, really hard on the times or anything, but I just think they should at least like, this would have been the perfect thing. Even if you want to address the power creep of other items coming in from other content being like a natural evolution of the game, that's totally fine. I wasn't making this argument when Theater of Blood came out or when Hydra came out to anybody, but when you're actively like releasing this blog to make challenge mode faster and only by making the rooms easier, surely there has to be a drawback of like, okay, now we made thieving take less time, we're going to bounce the time as a result. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I see your point, but it's never going to change. So
I totally see the point as well. I could see it if like Jagex looked at the average and saw that like, 'cause the problem is I haven't done challenge mode, so I have no idea. But if I were to jump in there and learn the mechanics, and if I'm hitting the time every single time at that point, once I learned all the rooms, but I can't really say, but I mean, Jagex has the numbers, so I could see them making, like, adjusting the times if they saw, like, okay, the average player is making these times no problem. Like, the time isn't really even a factor anymore.
The time is, like, you're almost guaranteed to get, to hit time. Almost, like, 100% guaranteed. Unless something super bad messes up, like, where you just, like, completely, like, you lost all your secondaries or something, or...
Is it not still fun to do, though? Are you saying that the time is taking away from the prestige of the items?
It's not just that. It's not like, oh, I have dust and I don't want other people to have dust. That's not the thing. I want more people to do the content in the game. I think challenge mode is really fun. I like teaching challenge mode. But it's gotten to the point where, like, if I'm teaching somebody challenge mode, it used to be where it's like you'd spend like 15 minutes before being like, okay, we're going to be pressed for time, so we need to go over this now so that you don't, like, have to stop and ask what we're doing next, right? We'll just, like, give you the briefing now, and then we'll be able to, like, remind you in the room. Where it's now, it's like, we'll just talk about it in the raid, whatever. And, like, we'll stop for 30 seconds at a time, be like, okay, this is what we're going to do differently in this room, blah, blah, blah. Like, you can do that. Like, it's not even a challenge to hit the time if you're comfortable with the content. And again, I'm not saying make it super, super difficult to hit the time. I think you should be able to guarantee hit the time every single time if you're comfortable with the content, which, like, a 5 or 10 minute difference will still be the case, even without max gear. Like, you can go in. I know people, like, generally think you need T-bows. You can hit the time without T-bows, but even if you're learning with a T-bow, I think you should be able to, like, clear it consistently with 5-10 minutes away from the.
It definitely is tricky, and I do see the point where, like, it's called challenge modes. You want it to be a challenge. You don't want it, like, especially with, like, the kind of the content, the amount of content we have, where it's a lot. But when you really break down endgame content, there's literally, like, maybe 2 things. Let's ignore the Inferno because that's so that's in its own other grouping. But
I don't think the Inferno.
I see your point that I think there needs to be more end game challenge for the people that want to take that on, but I don't think that slicing challenge mode by 5 minutes is what you're even looking for.
Well, that's more so an integrity change, because you have to think about it this way: like, if challenge mode becomes less of a challenge, quote unquote, now you're going to have more players wanting a bigger challenge. Which, again, I've always said Jagex shouldn't really listen to that part of the community as much as, like, the mid-game levels, because that's where most of their player base is at. But on the other hand, and I realized this only recently, like, the reason why probably endgame players have a little bit more pull is because when you have a really strong endgame, it incentivizes mid-level players to play even more to get to that endgame. So if you have a really fun set of content to do when you're hit end game, you see it all the time with Chambers, where it's like, oh damn, Chambers looks really fun. It's what got me into, like, playing RuneScape consistently, is listening to Deegan and Dilz talk about it way back when on the podcast and being like, wow, raid sounds really fun and really end game. I want to grind and hit that benchmark in my account. And it was like, the appeal and the prestige of trying end game content is way bigger than just the number of players who are, like, able to reach that level of gameplay at the moment. And so when you have that endgame base asking for more content, now you need more ideas to come up with endgame content. But you also need more endgame items, because if you don't release items that incentivize that content, it's going to be dead content. You have this other issue now where it's like Gauntlet, in terms of PVM activity, like Corrupted Gauntlet is one of the endgame types of content. I would say it's pretty hard if you're not sure what you're doing, like we just talked about it. Nobody does, like, there are no Gauntlet PVM strats to the extent that there are, like, Chambers or Theater of Blood. The Gauntlet, like, speedrunning community is nowhere near as big as it is for Inferno, which is a solo task as well. But the difference is Inferno gives you like a best in slot. It's obviously really prestigious, whereas Gauntlet is just, there's like no incentive to do it. So there's not going to be an organic community around like mastering that content. So with that in mind, when you slice the time or like when you don't slice the time for challenge mode and you're willing to let it become easier, now what you're doing is you're making it so that the barrier of entry for, again, the content that is tied for most end game content in the game, mind you, this is like Jagex, when they came out with Theater of Blood, said, we're going to balance Theater of Blood to be on par with Chambers of Zodiac challenge mode. So it's like, okay, now one of the two endgame options for content that we have is easier. We need more endgame content, which means we need more best in slot items, which means more power creep, blah, 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 blah. Whereas, like, if you even make that small integrity change, at least at that point, it's like challenge mode is not going to be, for that level of players, it's not going to be the snooze fest that it is. Where I normally like share my screens during solo CM runs or whatever, if people are interested, if I'm on call with them. And some of them are obviously like, wow, that looks hard. And some of them are like, okay, that doesn't look that bad. And especially when like I will be like dealing with a Discord private message or something, or like dealing with an issue, or like responding to an email, and they're like, shouldn't you like hurry up and like make time because you're like, you've been standing at thieving for like 2 minutes now? And I'd be like, no, I'm like definitely going to make time. Don't worry. This isn't a speed run, so I don't care.
It's a tricky balance because like I think the barrier of entry shouldn't have to change just because new items come in, because yeah, sure, a Scythe might have come into the game, but I'm no closer to the T-Bow than than before the Scythe was introduced. Like the T-Bow is still the same price, but
hold that thought. What I'm saying is, it's not the Scythe that I'm saying we should balance it around. It's the fact that they've changed the content itself to be easier. So I'm not saying like you don't have a Scythe, you shouldn't be penalized. I'm saying like they made thieving last half as long.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point, because like going back to your point where like there needs to be end game content where like the top 10% are only playing it, that motivates the mid game players. Because circling back to Warframe, I was playing Warframe for a bit, and anyone who else has played it, it's a great game. It's fun. There's like a lot to do, but as soon as I found out the end game, there was no raids, there was no end game bosses. It's just more of the same thing. It doesn't even really get that much more difficult. I lost all interest of playing it, and I moved on. The game was still great. I was still having tons of fun, but I was like, well, I have nothing to work towards. If there's no raids or anything, like I want to be doing hard content, you know? Yeah.
And like, again, let me say when I say they should make it, when they should slice the time, I'll give you some numbers. So if I'm doing like a very casual raid where I'm not like going super fast, I'll probably hit around 44, 45 minutes. Again, it's like when I'm prepping, taking my time, not bringing in sweets, bringing in like 4 staminas for the fun of it. So I don't waste money on purple sweets because they're $6,000, not dollars, 6,000 GP each, which is kind of crazy. I'm hitting 45 minutes, let's say. So let's say, assuming I'm like some endgame level player that, like Heartless calls me the best he's played
Don't
with.
let him fool you. He's an endgame player.
I am an endgame player, but I'm not necessarily the best. But what I will say is, okay, let's assume that I am in that elite club. I'm hitting 45 minutes. The challenge time for a solo is 1 hour, 10 minutes. So I'm 25 minutes ahead of the challenge time. So even if you cut it by 10 minutes, let's assume that an average player who's able to do solo CMs can hit within an hour. If I'm hitting 45 minutes and not like being super fast or super efficient, and like a basic challenge mode solo level player should hit within an hour. So I think that's reasonable. With basic gear, like I'm talking a lance, you don't even need a scythe for solo CM. So I'm talking like lance, T-bow for the most part. And it's the same for like trios. Trios I think is 50 minutes. Or it might be 55 or something. Just change it to like 50 minutes if it is 55, or 48, 47 minutes if it's 50 minutes. You know what I mean? Where it's just like slightly different. You can get 35-minute trios pretty comfortably in a team without max gear, 40-minute trios. So even a 45-minute show seems really reasonable.
I see your point. Yeah, it's I do agree that if they're changing, if they're like essentially fundamentally changing rooms to make it easier and thus making it quicker to get through the rooms, they should balance it around that a little bit more as well. Because otherwise, just like an inherent nerf. Is it a nerf at that point, or is it a buff to? It's a buff to us, nerf to the content. But I do see your point there.
But yeah, that is my rant over with. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Thank you.
So back to the poll blog, or back to the news post. That's basically it. They added an extra large storage chest, which helps with masses. So if you have 99 construction, you can get a super extra large, cool looking white chest. Really nice to see if you're doing like masses, if you do like We Do Raids masses or free for all masses or something. This is really cool. Players have the chance to obtain the metamorphic dust again, even if they've already obtained it once. I have a friend with like 3. So congrats, Mazel Tov. I think also the other thing that this update does is it gives you the opportunity to have disco lights now, where it's like, if you get a purple drop in chambers, as you're aware, Dilz, like what is the lights that you normally see over the chest?
It's white or purple. Yeah, right.
It's white. Yeah, and then you get an item and the light changes to purple. If you get an item and a twisted kit, or an item and dust, it actually turns the chest into like a disco.
Oh, that's
and
fun.
Like it flashes between green and purple, or purple and blue. Yeah, it looks really cool actually. And if you're like in a challenge mode mass, where like usually there's going to be a purple or a twisted kit, if not both, and you get that opportunity to see the disco light, it's actually really cool to see. So, and other than that, the PvP world rotation has moved to period A. Nobody cares. This is already dead news. New lights now appear under more items in loot stacks, and they're worth a bit less in general stores. And this is a big one, I think, for all the cosplayers out there and the catfish community. Many weapons have had their positions fixed on female characters to ensure they are firmly grasped when equipped. There used to be a graphical glitch where, with a bunch of different weapons, female players just wouldn't be holding the weapon. It would be like hovering in the air to the side of their actual player model. So if you play as a female character,
they're witches.
That is the most impactful update of 2020 for some people, but we're not going to go over that.
That is crazy. What an eventful month. Okay, so quick question before we wrap this bad boy up. Should Theater of Blood have its own challenge mode?
They're already designing it.
Oh, they are?
I think it would be cool to have... Yeah, I think it would be cool to have a challenge mode, Theater of Blood. The thing with Theater of Blood is if you know the mechanics, like, you can take 0 damage in, like, 3 of the 6 rooms, pretty much. Like, you will take no damage from Bloat, you'll take no damage in Soda Seg, and you'll take no damage in Zarkus. So what I think would be cool is if instead of just making it like the Chambers of Zark challenge mode is pretty simple in the sense that it's like everything hits harder and all the rooms are in there. So you can't obviously add all the rooms to Theater of Blood because they're always going to be all the rooms. It's not like Chambers where you scout different rooms. So I hope they don't go into like the everything hits harder route. I would like to see them change the mechanics of some rooms where it's like Maiden throws more blood spawns. Zarpus throws more like blood or acid splats in the room. Maybe there are more Nilokas. Maybe the pillars have low HP. Bloat turns way more often, or maybe he runs faster. That would be crazy.
That's how they should do it, because I mean they could get lazy. Okay, they have more health.
Yeah.
You know, World of Warcraft used to do it. I don't know if they still do, but they'd have like some sort of button, some sort of. You'd be in the boss room, and there'd be like a something you'd start, like if there'd be an actual button that you'd push, and then it would turn the fight into a hard mode. I don't know, maybe more stuff to dodge. I don't know, but like that's how World of Warcraft did it. But I do think challenge modes and raids is good. It's a good idea because you've already got the content there. You know, coming up with a new raid is pretty tough to do, especially with the new items. But doing a challenge mode, if you do it right, you know, it could be a lot of fun. And I think challenge mode, like Chambers of Zarek, is a great idea. They did hype up how you could be like you were competing for times, but that's not really a thing, is it?
Yeah, it's you're not really competing. Like, just case in point, go to any random world like any random world, where the time boards for chambers, I think, reset every
week, I think.
With every update. Yeah. So go and look at the average time for that world for the 5 fastest times. Usually they're going to be by the same person because it's just going to be one person in one session.
Yeah.
So it's going to give you like a small snapshot of how an average Chambers of Zarek like session goes, and you can look for each time how close they were to hitting the time. Like solos, they're probably going to be a couple of really fast ones depending on the world, but if you go into a random like 300s world where generally the endgame PVMers will stick to the 400 and the 500 worlds, pro tip, those servers are better. They're more stable because they're newer, so that's why you see a lot of American players on the 500 worlds, even though they're UK. So even if you go to like quote unquote the more quote unquote casual 300s world, you should still see times that are well within the challenge mode rate.
Cool stuff. I guess more to come with that. So that being said, there was our month in review for May. It was, depending on who you are, very uneventful or very eventful if you're into challenge mode raids. I'm not quite there, but it's something that I'm kind of excited to get into. I mean, doing this bingo event has really got me like, I suck at PVM. I want to get better. It gives me those vibes, and having some content to work towards is definitely nice and motivating. All right, I'm gonna now's the segue where I move towards what do the professional podcasters call it? They call it housekeeping. So first thing I'm going to talk about is our Patreon. I'm going to give a shout out to our Patreon supporters for supporting this show every single month. You guys are the best. You help cover some of the costs that go into uploading episodes and producing the show. So I can't thank you guys enough. You guys are the best for your past support and your current support and your continued support. So much love all around. Now, we've talked early on, we were talking about the CC quite a bit. And you might be thinking like, oh shit, how can I be a part of the clan chat? Well, if you're playing in game and you want a clan chat to hang out in, come to Wild CC. It's where all of us are hanging out. You can come. You can come talk to our in-house 1%er himself, Magpie, give you advice on gear and all that stuff.
Yeah, sure. I am the Wall Street of the game.
He's the 0.1%, everyone.
But yeah, no, but seriously though, there's so much great advice to get from that. Anytime I have a question, someone's there to answer it. So definitely want to come hang out if you're not already in a CC. But you can always come hang out in our Discord if you are in a CC, and you can find our Discord on the Twitter page. It's probably the easiest way to find it, and that's at the Wilderness RS. And if you want to send us an email, you can do that at thewildernesspodcast@gmail.com. We had our Christmas holiday special, New Year's special last episode where we went through all the emails we did, and I don't know about you guys, but I had a lot of fun answering some of those questions, and it makes me want to bring kind of like a roundtable question every episode.
I would love if that was a thing. And again, like, I don't know if we've gotten any responses to like the house episode or the house question last week, if people have emailed in, but
yeah, it'd be great.
Like, that was a really good question. If you could live in any building in old school, where would you choose? So
that's what got me thinking, like, oh man, we should do more stuff like that. Like, if where we just kind of give our thoughts, who has like the strongest army? I don't know. It's fun questions like that. So maybe we'll bring that once we catch up. We'll start doing some roundtable questions.
Fight one Lizardman Shaman-sized goblin or 100 goblin-sized Lizardman Shamans? I don't know. Getting to the part of the episode where we're getting a little loopy.
Yeah, which means, Heartless, you have a song of the week you're gonna bust out, don't you?
I sure do. It's my third one in a row.
Oh, how exciting.
So my favorite place in the game is Fossil Island. I think the place is so cool. As long as your computer can load the mushroom forest, then you're good to go. It's just a really nice place, especially for Ironman. There's just so much cool content there, and I really suggest people like get there early on their accounts. It's a cool place to be. Very underrated, I would say. Mm-hmm. And there's a song there called Preservation. I remember when I first started back in the day, like in 2018, I would be running around Fossil Island doing my birdhouse runs, and that song would come on sometimes when I had mobile on. And it just was always very, very peaceful feeling song.
That's awesome. Okay, so Preservation, the song that's unlocked upon arriving to Fossa Island as the Bone Voyage quest is completed. Cool stuff. So I'll let that lead us out there. But any final comments before we get on out of here for today?
Good luck in bingo if you're participating. I don't know if this podcast will be out by the time it is released, or like if the podcast will be out by the time the bingo event ends. If not, good luck. If it is over by the time this episode is released, thank you for participating, I guess. Thank you, Heartless, and everybody who helped organize it. And thank you for coming in second place, I guess, because we're still gunning for first.
Shit,
Savage.
it's on.
I feel like no, but if you finish the board, then it's not the first person who finishes. There's tiebreakers, man.
Which we are still doing well on. Let me just say, okay, we can do this trash talk off air.
Okay, we'll do this after. Okay, we're gonna do this off air.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, Pete, take care, everyone.
Take it easy.